Then Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 1 matchup between the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Both teams coming off of very different seasons in 2022. Nebraska went 4-8, fired Scott Frost early in the season, and it's the start of a new era in Nebraska. Matt Rule's the new head coach. He's making his debut as head coach in this matchup, and he's trying to get the Huskers back on track. This is a team that seemingly hasn't been a contender in a while now. Matt Rule's trying to get them back, and they got to take on Minnesota in Week 1. That will not be an easy task. Minnesota's been solid in recent years. Another 9-win season in 2022, and they're looking to win the West in 2023. That is definitely within reason for the Gophers, and this is a crucial matchup for both teams here. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started. And with that, this game is going to be on Thursday, August 31st. Pretty much opening night for college football, first Big Ten matchup of the season. And it's in the Twin Cities. Night game, 7 p.m. Central to kick off. Minnesota's favored by a touchdown here. I mean, you got to consider, too, the Gophers have won the last 4 matchups. Last time Nebraska beat Minnesota was in 2018 when it was Scott Frost's first season. And since then, Minnesota's won the last 4. Last game was in Lincoln. Minnesota won it 20-13. A close game, but the Gophers got it done, and it makes sense for them to be favored here. Over-under is 45.5. FPI is also going on the Gophers side pretty heavily as well, 73.4%. Your stat comparison for this one, Nebraska. And these are your 2022 stats. So looking back on last season, Nebraska was just kind of a poor team on both sides of the ball. Offensively, 101st in points per game, 74th in pass yards a game, 107th in rushing. So especially rushing the ball was not Nebraska's strong suit last season, you could say. And I mean, defensively, not very good against the run. They were halfway decent against the pass, 73rd in the country, but still just not great stats that Nebraska had last season. And I mean, you remember back to 2021, this was a team that was very strong defensively, but offensively just couldn't quite get it done. I mean, this team showed promise on both sides throughout the season, but it was just too inconsistent of a team to be a true contender. But as for Minnesota, this team was very strong defensively last season, 3rd in the nation in points allowed. They were 14th in pass yards allowed, 18th in rush yards allowed. So a really strong defense here last season. And offensively, passing game, not so great, but the rushing game with Mo Ibrahim back there. I mean, this team was great rushing the ball, and Mo Ibrahim has proved that multiple times for Minnesota, and he is off to the NFL. He's gone. And it looks like Sean Tyler is going to be the lead back for this team. We'll see what he can do with this team, considering, I mean, Ibrahim is going to be tough to replace. I mean, you consider how significant he was for this team, and he was injured in 2021. And that had a significant impact on this team. This team was honestly could have been a lot better in 2021 if they had him. That just wasn't the case. But Sean Tyler coming in from Western Michigan, I mean, last season put up over 1,100 yards of offense, 1,200 yards in 2021. So the last 2 years, over 1,000 yards. I think this team could definitely be just fine with him in the backfield. It's good that this team is able to replace Mo Ibrahim with someone of similar strength. Cali McManus taking over at quarterback as well. I mean, last season we saw him a little bit. Tanner Morgan was the primary starter last season, as he has been since like 2019. So, I mean, he was around for a while, that's for sure. But Cali McManus, I mean, we'll see what he can do. Still a young quarterback, so he's definitely got potential. Key points for this one, Nebraska 4-8 last season. This is Matt Rule's debut. I mean, you got to remember what he did at Temple, what he did at Baylor. Turned around both teams in short time frames, both teams being terrible when he took them over. Things about Nebraska, though. Nebraska is not similar to like Baylor or Temple at the time. This is a Nebraska team that's got resources to be successful right away. They've got talent, they've got depth, and that's truly a big impact. And like Nebraska, we can see this team definitely return to at least somewhat of, or at least a bowl game, I would say, in 2023, just based on the talent. And Matt Rule is proven to be an excellent college coach. I mean, in the NFL, it didn't really work out for him, but he's returned to college football, and he's definitely a guy that I think is more than capable to lead a team back to contention, and Nebraska should be pretty excited for the future, I think, with Matt Rule. Georgia Tech transfer Jeff Sims. He is starting at quarterback, and Jeff Sims, I mean, he's a talented quarterback who definitely, he's got experience. He played for Georgia Tech for multiple years, and I mean, the thing about him is, I mean, he was never a big standout at Georgia Tech. Then again, he's probably playing with more talent at Nebraska. So we'll see if that makes him shine more. But Jeff Sims, I mean, he doesn't quite have maybe the same ceiling as, say, like a Casey Thompson or even Adrian Martinez. I mean, you remember back to when Martinez was playing and didn't quite reach his full potential with the Huskers. I mean, I think Jeff Sims is a good quarterback, and I think he's able to lead this team to success, but I wouldn't expect Nebraska to be a major contender in the conference just with him as quarterback, unless he breaks through and has a great season, which is still a possibility. But defensively, this should be a strong team. I think there's a lot of keys to success for the Huskers defensively. It's just the offense that's got a few question marks, and we'll see if this offense can get it together and stay injury-free as well, considering there's a few questionable areas. I mean, the receiving core is probably one of them. I mean, this team's definitely got talent in the receiving core. It's just a few of the injuries and things going on. The backfield, Gabe Ervin coming back. Looks like he could be an excellent player for this team, so we'll see what he can do. And obviously Jeff Sims. And defensively, though, this team should be pretty good. As for Minnesota, Calic Manus taking over. I mean, this team has got questionable areas, especially on defense. I mean, this is a team that lost 9 of their key players defensively from last season. So there's going to be a bit of inexperience on this defense. Still think this team can still be great defensively. It just might take a little step back. Offensively, though, there's definitely a lot of upside, some good experience as well for this team offensively. Calic Manus, if he can play well, I mean, just like how Tanner Morgan did, it was like, 2019 when this team broke through, had a really good year. I mean, if Calic Manus can get to similar to that level that we saw at Tanner Morgan in 2019, this is a team that absolutely could win the West and be maybe even a dark horse contender. That's very much within reason, I think, for the Gophers this season. And the Big Ten West is wide open as it always is. I mean, you got Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, probably your big 3 in the division. It's really a toss-up between those 3, and Minnesota's definitely up there, though. Keep an eye on this team, and a couple of questionable areas, but plenty of upside for this team. Definitely high ceiling for the Gophers. And with that, let's take a look at the prediction now for this matchup. So obviously, huge matchup, Thursday night, opening night, week 1. Who am I going to go with here? I'm going with the Gophers to win this matchup. 20-17 is my predicted final score. I think Nebraska for sure keeps it close in this matchup, and I am absolutely taking the under for this one. I do think we see a lower scoring defensive matchup here. You got 2 teams that offensively do have a couple of question marks. I think Nebraska's defense should be pretty solid in 2023. I do think they hold Minnesota to 20 points, but the offense is going to be a bit rusty in week 1, I do think, for Nebraska. I think this offense has got potential. They can be great later on in the season, but I do think week 1 we see this team offensively kind of struggle a little bit, maybe a few turnovers, and I do think that kind of cost them the game in the end. But very close matchup here. I think Nebraska is going to have a good season. I do see Nebraska getting to a bowl game this year. I do think, though, that they dropped this one, and for Minnesota, obviously a crucial win. I mean, the Big Ten West being as close and as tight as it is at the top, every Big Ten game matters. And so for Minnesota, a team that very well could win the division, obviously a huge game for them. I think Minnesota gets it done, and a huge win for the Gophers in week 1. But I've got Nebraska covering. Once again, the under, and Minnesota 55%. They win the game 20-17. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments below on this matchup. Obviously, a huge matchup Thursday night, week 1. I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.